Ah, yes.
Hi, I'm reading a book on the Berlin Wall, and the last page is missing. How did it fall?
Ah, lucky for you, I know a very excellent museum curator. Let's go down. She works in downtown Berlin.
Berlin? Germany? I'm Catherine.
Hallo, guten Morgen. Welcome to Germany. Are you excited to be here?
I'm so excited to be here. This is my first time flying international.
What do you know about the Berlin Wall so far?
I know a lot about the pre-existing conditions, but not much else. I'm missing the last page. I don't know how it fell. The Berlin Wall was built in 1961 in response to worsening animosity between the Soviet Union and the United States in their struggle for control over Germany. This led to many years of a divided Germany. People would risk their lives to flee from East Berlin to West Berlin, as this was their only chance to leave the oppressive Soviet lifestyle of East Berlin. On November 9, 1989, as the Cold War began to thaw across Eastern Europe, the spokesman for East Berlin's Communist Party announced a change in his city's relations with the West. East and West Berliners flocked to the wall, drinking beer and champagne and chanting, "Tor auf!" Open the gate. At midnight, they flooded through the checkpoints. But what spurred this decision to take down the Berlin Wall? There, of course, are many factors that have contributed to the fall of the Berlin Wall, and not one factor is just responsible. But when talking about the Berlin Wall, many people jumped right to Reagan's "tear down this wall" speech.
General Secretary Gorbachev, if you seek peace, if you seek prosperity for the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe, if you seek liberalization, come here to this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
But in actuality, this speech was far less important than many other factors. The economic system in the Soviet Union was breaking down and leading to problems in the Soviet Union, and many of the other countries in the Soviet bloc were seeing the freedom of the Western style of living and no longer wanted to be trapped in. The three main reasons that the Berlin Wall fell was the interplay among Soviet reforms, the incompetence of East Berlin, and rising from everyday Germans.
October 7th, East Germany's 40th birthday. As far as Communist General Secretary Erich Honecker is concerned, the country will go on forever. But Soviet Premier Mikhail Gorbachev has different thoughts of reforms.
The marchers were shouting out, "Gorby, save us." And that really was the point at which I think the pressure cooker inside East Germany met the reform movement within the Communist Party, and that decisive point arrived where suddenly it was really clear.
While the reason for the fall of the Berlin Wall is still highly disputed, and many historians still grapple with it today, a main reason was, in 1989, a series of radical political changes occurred in the Eastern Bloc, associated with the liberalization of the Eastern Bloc's authoritarian systems and the erosion of political power in the pro-Soviet governments in nearby Poland and Hungary. After several weeks of civil unrest, such as the Leipzig demonstrations, which were nonviolent from both protesters and police, and attempted negotiations between the government and the people of East Germany for ideas such as 30-day travel permits. The East German government announced on November 9, 1989, that all GDR citizens could visit West Germany and West Berlin. Crowds of East Germans crossed and climbed onto the wall, joined by West Germans on the other sides in a celebratory atmosphere.
That's very good, Catherine. Welcome to the Wall Museum.
But who was involved in the fall of the Berlin Wall?
Luckily for you, we have a very informative movie.
Oh, great. Oh, but the theater looks really crowded.
Clear out, everyone! Clear out! I don't care if you're a child, an old woman, clear out!
November 9th, 1989 is considered the day that changed European history. By August 1989, more and more East German tourists in Hungary were fleeing to Austria, causing the Hungarians to return them to Budapest, their capital. The East Germans from there began flooding the West German embassy and refused to leave, triggering similar situations to happen in neighboring countries like Czechoslovakia. East German officials realized by allowing travel to neighboring countries, the wall lost its purpose because East Germans could simply circumvent it by traveling to countries like Hungary, who are part of the Warsaw Pact, then to West Germany. By September 1989, mass protests began to spring up in East Germany demanding to leave West. This period of organized opposition became known as the Peaceful Revolution. Jumping back to Germany in May 1989, East Germany held its planned election where the voters simply placed the confirmed candidate list in the ballot. Only 30% decided not to vote. Tensions increased, and in October 1989, the GDR overburdened the amount of people trying to flee East Germany, and the growing opposition. In an attempt to remedy this, the GDR promoted the use of propaganda from the Tiananmen Square massacre, which had happened months prior, threatening to use the Chinese solution if the protests wouldn't capitulate. By November, the GDR had exhausted all efforts to quell the mass immigration. The immense burden on the East German Politburo and its neighboring countries was enough for Egon Krenz to replace the longtime leader of East Germany, Erich Honecker, the month prior, to introduce regulations allowing for direct travel through the wall.
Mr. Gorbachev. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Well, thank you for coming, Catherine, but it's time for you to go.
Back home? But it was a 10-hour flight to get here and a 10-hour flight home, and I was only here for 3 hours!
Luckily for you, we have a super seeker film on the effects of the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Can we watch it?
Yes!
Since the Berlin Wall was such an important and symbolic entity, the effects of the Berlin Wall still continue on today. The Berlin Wall was a symbolic boundary between communism and capitalism. In East Germany, the wall meant that Germans could look forward to economic and innovative growth. The newfound freedom of movement would allow Eastern Europeans to relocate to Western Europe, which in turn helped the aging demographics.
All on the trees were nails, and they'd hung their keys on them, car keys, house keys. So they left behind. I mean, I live in a house with all kinds of stuff. I can't imagine walking away and leaving it all. That's what they did. That's how badly they wanted to go.
To the broader world, the fall of the wall symbolized the fall of communism in Europe. The communists ceased to be such an influential party in Germany after reunification. Economist Liam Halligan states, as the wall came down, the Soviet power structure with its closed borders, economic oppressions, and mind control started to fall. In Germany, individuals could now be self-employed, climb up the social ladder, travel, and enjoy foreign media. However, this positive change was not going to happen overnight. Most employment in the East was through state-owned organizations and post-reunification. They were privatized jobs losses that followed. Unemployment increased, and the West Germans were growing bitter about having their taxes increased to develop the former Eastern German economy. East Germans looked back through the years and pondered life if it was better, pre-Berlin Wall falling. The Cold War provided a clear and present enemy. Liam Halligan states, the West's enemies today are more numerous and far harder to identify. In Africa, it allowed the West to be more firm over apartheid in South Africa, as it was previously hampered with the belief the National African Congress was a communist organization. Nelson Mandela was released shortly after the Berlin Wall was pulled down.
In the British government, I personally had the impression there are some differences.
Between Mrs. Thatcher and Douglas Hurd?
Yes, he was very constructive and helpful. I couldn't really understand because the division of Germany was also the division of Europe. The division of Germany was also the division of Europe. And the unification of Germany was the unification of Europe. That meant democracy and freedom for our East European neighbors, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary. I think this was a positive development. The Red Army moving to the east from the center of Europe. I think this was a development we always had hoped it would happen, and now it happened. How could one hesitate in such a situation?
The Berlin Wall is something that will never be forgotten. Its effects were so massive that the affected regions all over the world still continue on today.
Wow, that was beautiful. Now I know how the book ends.